beautiful. I'm Kirstie Johnston and welcome to my show, Thoughts, Action, Success. Are you constantly afraid, worried, or perhaps nervous? Do you have trouble sleeping or are you always feeling tired and panicky? Do you often wonder why you can't stop worrying and why you feel very fearful? Do you wish you could overcome these issues so you can start living the life you want? These types of feelings and emotions are often diagnosed as anxiety. These feelings of worry and fear are a normal reaction of the brain that are a result of many factors that are causing an imbalance or challenge to our daily routine. Everyone deals with moments in their life when they feel like the world is about to fall apart on us. During these moments, it can be difficult to describe the feelings of tension, helplessness, and anxiety that is running rampant through our minds. We feel that we would be ecstatic if we could simply disappear and emerge when stressful situations in our lives have passed. Whilst this is a completely normal reaction to stressful situations, there are times when these emotions and thoughts become so common that they start to have a major impact on our lives. When this happens, you have crossed the line from normal to abnormal. If your feelings of fear become so frequent and debilitating that you have difficulties performing even the most basic of physical activities, then it is a much more serious problem that needs to be addressed. Many people experience this condition known as anxiety. Generally speaking, if our reactions to certain situations are much more grandiose than the response of others, then you might be suffering from anxiety. Fortunately, if you are suffering from anxiety, there is hope that you can be successfully treated and start to live your best life. An experience that is free of constant fear and worry and anxiety. By making some simple changes in your lifestyle and daily routine, you can start to overcome your anxiety and finally be free of the debilitating effects of the condition. It's a normal reaction for your brain to send alarming signals to your body when it detects danger, leaving your body to react accordingly to that danger. To understand this a bit better, let's define stress and anxiety. While many believe that stress and anxiety are the same, contrary to popular belief, however, stress and anxiety have several differences. So how do we define anxiety? It's often referred to as that uneasy feeling of worry or concern that's developing when you are deeply tense about something. Feeling a bit anxious when facing major life events is normal. However, if those concerning and worrying feelings persist, even when everything is under control, and you end up becoming affected by the smallest of changes in life, then the chances are likely that you have a serious anxiety condition. So what's stress then? Stress is the natural feeling that arises from the pressures we experience in our day-to-day life. Stress signals are sent through the brain when our body and mind are pushed to the limit. When the brain detects a sign of stress, it releases adrenaline into the bloodstream. This release of adrenaline causes the body to feel stress or weary or tired. The body reacts to this increase in adrenaline, leading to the mind's logical solution of resting. However, if your body refuses to stop and the adrenaline remains in your bloodstream, it can cause depression as well as increasing your blood pressure, which can then in turn cause other negative reactions in your body. Among those negative reactions is anxiety. So what's the problem with anxiety? When you can't control yourself, when you are faced with different life situations, this means that you will tend to be more hesitant about making certain decisions or life changes because your anxiety can block you from reaching your full potential. When this is coupled with a negative mindset, this is often associated with stress. Chances of you succeeding in life are then reduced. When you suffer from anxiety, your self-esteem and confidence are typically pretty low since your mind is filled with so many negative thoughts about your values and your abilities. Besides having an effect on your confidence, The constant tension that you always have because of anxiety can often cause you to suffer from severe headaches and muscle tension that just gets worse over time. Whilst the negative effects of anxiety might be enough to motivate you to overcome your anxiety, knowing some of the benefits of going through the process can help you through this process of change. For some people who suffer from anxiety, the physical symptoms associated with the disease will be much worse than for others. For others, feelings of fear and doom might occur for no reason at all, leaving them feel scared and unsafe to the point they put up walls around them in order to protect themselves. The problem with anxiety is that the constant worrying about what might happen to lead them to feel overwhelmed by the world around them. Not only can these feelings have a detrimental effect on their ability to concentrate, but also leave them feeling unable to sleep or eat even. Eventually, this can lead to their confidence levels diminishing and decreasing their ability to keep a positive outlook on their life. Still, others will choose to talk about their worries when they're suffering from anxiety because they don't believe that others will understand what they're feeling. They're going to hold these feelings back. They not only worry that they'll be judged by other people, but they also fear that they will be seen as weak. Even though many people suffer from different forms of anxiety, many will choose not to let others in on their secret because they feel like they will be misunderstood. There are certain cases where the sufferer from anxiety will blame themselves for the way they feel, even though it is a natural part of life and helps to really protect us from real danger. It does have its purpose. So how do you tell if you're suffering from an anxiety? The extent to anxiety's effect on an individual depends on various factors. Regardless of the severity and type of anxiety, there is a number of symptoms that are uncommon. If you regularly exhibit any of the following symptoms, I recommend that you go and talk to your doctor. Get that advice from the professionals. Things like feelings of panic, fear, and uneasiness. Worrying too much, especially about just everyday things. Not getting enough sleep. A shortness of breath. Really tense muscles. Indigestion. Fatigue. Being too conscious of your actions and behaviours. Compulsive behaviours. Dizziness. Nausea. Cold and sweaty hands. But the good news is that help is at hand. So consulting with your doctor is the ideal first step to identifying the triggers and how you can resolve the situation. You can practice mindfulness to overcome anxiety. So you might be wondering, what exactly is this mindfulness stuff? And how can it be used to overcome anxiety? In a nutshell, mindfulness is all about being fully awake and being fully active and present in our day-to-day lives. It's a method for approaching life on the knowledge that the present is the only time that any of us have to be alive. The practice of mindfulness is the ability to pay conscious attention to our internal and external experiences through an open attitude that leaves unnecessary judgment aside. It's a way of directing our awareness to the present. This allows someone to make better use of their resources, insight, intuition, and creativity. When you practice mindfulness, you learn how to observe your thoughts and feelings on a daily basis. This helps to create space between your feelings and reactions, which allows you to be able to perceive to how to react reflectively over the situation rather than an automatic reflexive response. So what are the benefits of mindfulness? The practice of mindfulness can help you cope with many different attitudes that can contribute to your ability to live a well-satisfied life. Focusing on the present makes it possible for you to worry less about what happened in the past, as well as what will happen in the future. This allows you to manage events as they occur, and it will allow you to engage in activities of today, having full capacity to deal with events as they happen. When you deal only with the events that happen today, You will find yourself less likely to worry over things or regret past actions. You will become less preoccupied with the future and make better connections with your social environment. So here are 3 benefits of mindfulness for helping you cope with anxiety. Number 1, relieve physical stress and prevent health issues. Mindfulness aims to reduce the stress in your life. We are constantly surrounded by stress-inducing triggers, but because mindfulness encourages you to think of the present reality, daily stress can be reduced, if not altogether relieved. Stress is one of the primary causes of several diseases like high blood pressure, obesity, and heart disease, among others. When you practice mindfulness daily, you can greatly eliminate your stress. When you can eliminate your daily stress, you can significantly reduce your risk for developing many serious health conditions that arise that are preventable. Number 2, it eliminates worries. Practicing mindfulness helps you eliminate your daily worries. Worry is one of the greatest factors that can cause stress and jeopardize both your physical and mental health. However, if you practice mindfulness, you can train yourself to focus on the present things and view things around you as they are and without judgment. Since you don't have to think of other things from the future or the past, there is nothing for you to worry about. So then you can give your body a good rest, peace of mind, and happiness. Number 3, it helps with depression and other mental conditions. Since mindfulness is considered to be a mental state of focus and concentration, it can help with depression and anxiety. If you suffer from anxiety or depression, ignoring your mental state could make the condition worse and result in even more serious conditions. However, practicing mindfulness encourages you to free your mind from worries that can lead to various mental disorders. So how can you use breathing techniques to stop anxiety? Breathing is defined as an automatic function of the body that is managed by the respiratory system and controlled by the central nervous system. Breathing can be noted as a response of the body when it is faced with stress, where there is a marked change in the breathing patterns and rates. This is a part of the body's flight or fight mechanism and is part of the body's response to stressful situations. As humans, we have been given the power to control their patterns of breathing. And studies have shown that with our ability to control our breathing patterns, we can manage and combat stress and other related health conditions like anxiety and depression. Controlled breathing, when used in the practice of yoga, tai chi, and other meditation activities, is also used to reach a state of relaxation. Controlled breathing techniques can help to alleviate the following conditions: anxiety disorders, panic attacks, chronic fatigue syndrome, asthma attacks, severe pain, high blood pressure, insomnia, and stress. So what's the relationship between stress and breathing? The most fundamental role of breathing is to bring oxygen into the body and remove carbon dioxide from the body through the lungs. The muscles that surround the lungs, like the diaphragm, control the movement of the lungs, as well as the muscles that are found between the ribs. A person who experiences stress changes their breathing patterns. Normally, when they are anxious, you make small, shallow breaths with the use of your shoulder muscles rather than with the muscles of your diaphragm in order to control the breathing behavior in the lungs. This type of breathing mechanism interrupts the balance of gases in your body. On the other hand, hyperventilating or shallow overbreathing can greatly prolong the feeling of anxiety as it triggers the symptoms of the stress to worsen. If you are feeling stressed and anxious, you can relax your body by breathing slowly and gently through the nose to help even out your breathing system patterns. Following the breathing pattern of a relaxed person can calm the nervous system that manages the involuntary functions of the body. Controlled breathing can also change the physiological state of the person, which includes reducing the blood pressure, decreasing the heart rate, lowering stress hormones, decreasing lactic acid buildup in the tissues of the muscles, and managing the oxygen and carbon dioxide levels in your bloodstream. Other physiological changes that can be affected when you learn how to control your breathing include increasing your physical energy and increasing feelings of calmness and well-being. Patterns of deep breathing encourage the parasympathetic nervous system, or PNS, which is responsible for the bodily functions when in a relaxed state or when you're at rest. On the other hand, hyperventilation encourages the opposite. The sympathetic nervous system, or SNS, is responsible for the physical activities that are related to the flight or fight response in the body when stress is detected. The best way that I can explain these two systems is that PNS is the calm sister and SNS is the crazy non-sympathetic sister that's always on the verge of a nervous breakdown. When it comes to the functions of our body, the only one that we can readily control is our breathing, which is how we deal with healing our anxious bodies. By changing your breathing mechanism, you can help other parts of your bodily function normally to prevent the serious responses to stress. There are 3 deep breathing exercises that you can practice to help you overcome anxiety and depression. As I said earlier in the show, the act of hyperventilating can greatly increase and worsen the symptoms of stress and anxiety. The following breathing exercises that I'm going to share with you can be used anywhere to help you reduce symptoms of stress and anxiety. So the first one is coherent breathing. This controlled breathing technique gets you to slow down your breaths dramatically and helps maximize the heart rate variability, or HRV, which is a function of the parasympathetic nervous system. This technique is simple and can be performed anywhere. Start by taking a deep breath in or counting to 5, and then count to 5 again as you exhale. The technique has you breathing at a rate of 5 breaths for every minute. Take note of how the changes in your breathing pattern affect the HRV, which is responsible for switching your nervous system from the PNS to the SNS, or the other way around. What it comes down to is that higher HRV means a healthier cardiovascular system and stronger response to stress. Another technique is resistance breathing. So, resistance breathing, as its name implies, is breathing with a resistance in the flow of air in and out of the body. It's a way of breathing when you narrow the pathway of air or use objects like a straw to breathe in and out of. An easier way to accomplish this is to breathe through your nose rather than your mouth. Another way you can practice resistance breathing is by breathing through the course of chanting or singing. This is an effective way to accomplish this exercise because the vocal cords effectively narrow down the ear's pathway. Another way is breath moving. Breath moving is the technique of breathing with your imagination. It helps you breathe like you're pushing oxygen to the top of your head and pushing out all the carbon dioxide from your body. As you breathe in, you need to imagine that you're moving your breath from your lungs to the top of your head. Learning how to control your breathing can dramatically reduce your symptoms of stress and help you to overcome your anxiety. Combining controlled breathing techniques like the ones I've mentioned, along with mindfulness, can keep your mind calm and focused on the present. So how do you manage your thoughts to control anxiety? If you often experience strange and crazy thoughts that are disturbing and want to get these thoughts out of your head, then you're happy to know that you can do just that when you learn how to manage your thoughts to help you control your anxiety. Well, it is normal to have crazy and strange thoughts from time to time. What makes it not normal and out of the ordinary is when they reoccur often and when you have difficulties forgetting about them. These crazy thoughts can even cause fear because the thought is so disturbing in nature. If you want to be able to manage your thoughts, you'll need to understand the facts that surround anxious thoughts, their roots, and how to avoid them. When you're experiencing crazy thoughts, you're experiencing anxious thoughts. A person who doesn't suffer from anxiety will have difficulty understanding the various ways that anxiety can affect the body and the mind. So the logical explanation to this is that all people experience anxiety at different times during their life. Some more common experiences that can bring on anxiety are just things like prior to a job interview, an exam, or even asking someone out on a date. However, these instances of anxiety tend to pass right after the conclusion of the event. Anxiety can make an impact on both the emotional and physical aspects of a life, which can then lead to a significant imbalance. The creation of crazy and scary thoughts is one of the more common symptoms that people with anxiety experience. Anxiety has the capacity to change one's thoughts and make you think and believe that you are losing touch with reality. It makes you think that you are losing your mind and thus going crazy. If you are suffering from these symptoms, you don't need to worry, and they are just the effects of your anxious thoughts. So what triggers anxious thoughts? There are different thoughts that may be considered crazy. These thoughts are not only rooted in worry, but most of them are rooted in anxiety symptoms that you may be suffering. So how do you avoid these anxious thoughts? Anxiety is affected by your thoughts, and your thoughts are infected by anxiety, with one building on top of the other. The situation will become almost impossible to control. Let me share with you some ways that you can start to avoid anxious thoughts and end that cycle of worry. Face the thought. The logic is behind the fear. You don't want to think of the thought because of the fear that comes with it. So you will need to figure out how to set your mind not to fear the thoughts. No matter how crazy the thought you're having is, when you learn and practice to fact it, the thoughts can no longer be a reason to fear the thought. And it doesn't matter if the thought reoccurs. Create the thought. Another way that you can manage your anxious thoughts is by creating it before it even happens. When your mind is used to the thought, your fear will be suppressed. The reason behind this method is that when people fear something, they have to face their fears and will eventually learn how to overcome those fears. Write the thought out. Writing down your troubling thoughts is a great way to get them out of your head. When you write them down on a piece of paper or in your journal, it's like placing them somewhere else, more permanent. It's like moving them out, which allows the mind to relax. The practice of writing down fearful and anxious thoughts tends to appease the mind and allows it to forget eventually. These are just a few of the simple things that you can do to begin to deal with anxious thoughts that randomly appear. Whilst you'll still need to deal with your underlying anxiety, these simple steps can help you to stop the debilitating thoughts in their tracks. If you're currently living a hectic and non-stop life, you could be making your anxiety symptoms worse. When you follow a strategic plan for everything in your life, you can reduce the stress and anxiety and still have more of everything. Our society has become increasingly busy over the last several decades. We're constantly surrounded by activities from the home to the workplace, not to mention the sports, travel, and time spent with family. There is a simple way that you can finally put an end to your anxiety and reduce the stress in your life. Strategic planning can help you put your life into perspective and put things in place where they're supposed to be. Here are some tips and proven strategies to get you started with reducing your stress and overcome anxiety. Learn to keep a schedule. By keeping a schedule, you can learn how to maximize your availability. Your memory is not a reliable source for keeping track of everything you need to do throughout the day. Keep a planner with you and take the time to write down your schedule for the week. Carefully keep track of your schedule and do your best to stick with it. Managing your anxiety symptoms is nothing more than a matter of scheduling and diligently following a schedule. Find out where you're spending your time. Your schedule will help you keep track of where you're spending most of your time. Focus on those tasks that you regularly do on a daily basis. This is where time management comes into it. Determining the amount of time that you spend on daily activities can help to reduce your stress levels and allow more time into your day for relaxation. It also helps you to take down notes for future references. Track your time spent. Will allow you to know how long it takes you to go grocery shopping, do the laundry, pick up the kids from school, or even cook dinner, and then help you then when you need to allot your time that you're needing in your day to complete your work. It always makes sense to act on a purpose so that everything else will fall into place. Time management versus managing activities. You've probably been hearing the words time management your entire life. Well, it's always good to learn how to manage your time. It's even better to learn how to manage your activities, especially if you suffer from anxiety. We are all given the same amount of time during the day to get things done. We can really make a difference is learning how to allocate that time to get the most done during your day without becoming stressed or anxious. How we allocate our time to the many activities that we have to do in a day can make a huge difference in our lives. When managing your activities, it's extremely important to prioritize your day. Take some time to make a list of all your daily activities, prioritizing it with the most important activity at the top. Prioritization. While it's always a good idea to keep a schedule and closely follow it, it's equally important to prioritize those activities. You need to make sure that you allocate plenty of time to complete tasks that are associated with your health, wealth, and connections. By placing a high priority on these aspects regularly, you will be able to open the door to living your best life without anxiety. Plan and practice. It isn't enough for you to simply plan your activities if you want to overcome anxiety. Planning should come with practice or putting your plans into action. Planning without action is just like wishing without doing. There should be a deliberate action to put plans into work. Following a great plan and abiding by the plan is a great way to reduce anxiety and stress and have everything in place. There are instances that drafted plans may be hindered by unforeseen circumstances or factors of the environment, but having a backup plan can help you avoid these situations. Backup plans are usually drafted when you create your original plan. It's a way of resolving the question, what if, that often plagues those with anxiety. Having a schedule and plan in place to tackle your activities is a great way to reduce stress in your life. One of the most common problems that those suffering from anxiety must face is the increased intensity with their symptoms. For example, say you're on your way to a job interview and end up getting a flat tire. While the action of changing the tire can be easy enough, as is calling the person you're going to meet to explain why you're running late, the anxiety, however, can push your rational thoughts out of the way and direct you to more catastrophic ones. When anxiety is in the driver's seat, it can become all too easy to drive you and your rational mind right over the proverbial cliff. Successfully managing anxiety has two distinct processes: the long-term and short-term management. The long-term process requires coming to an understanding with what your particular anxiety stems from and can help to diminish and lessen the anxiety attacks that you are experiencing. However, this process will take a long time, and anxiety attacks are very much a part of the now. In the present moment, the goal is to find ways to calm yourself quickly so that your rational mind can regain control of the runaway thoughts and fears that are exacerbated by their panic attack. The best ways to find instant calm. There are many things that you can do to get immediate relief from the symptoms of anxiety. The trick is to find a place of calm in the midst of an anxiety attack. It's the way to put your mind back in your charge of the moment. Anxiety triggers physiological responses like rapid heartbeat, laboured breathing, increased blood pressure, and any number of fight or flight responses. So the following are just some of the strategies that you can use to counteract the effects of an anxiety attack and find instant calm. Use positive self-talk. When you start to feel an anxiety attack coming on, it can help immensely to give yourself an empowering and encouraging talk. To prevent yourself from becoming overwhelmed by what you're feeling, using positive self-talk will allow the more assertive side of your personality to take control. It can also help to whisper soothing words to yourself as you wait for your heart rate and breathing to return to normal. When you feel an anxiety attack coming on, it can be helpful to imagine a situation or place that you find calming and peaceful. For example, you can imagine that you're resting on a secluded beach or mountaintop, away from the worries of the world, or you can imagine that you're enveloped in a bubble of safety and none of your anxiety triggers can touch you while you're in this place of solace. You can also try bringing to your mind a happy memory, like your first kiss or a big win or the first time you held your child. Transporting yourself to these times and places, even if it is temporary, can help you get a handle on the situation that is causing your anxiety. It gives you that time. For the best results, you want to make sure to engage all of your senses whenever you engage in a visualization exercise like this. You can, for example, imagine how a tranquil sea would sound and smell, or picture the colours present in a beautiful sunset or sunrise. Really dig deep, go that extra level. The more vivid you can make the image, the better chance you have of finding the instant calm that you're searching for. Another thing you can use is meditation. Simple meditation is the technique of focusing on your inner self to achieve an altered state of consciousness. There are many ways that you can meditate to gain instant calm. Some like to meditate by repeating a specific mantra. Others through physical exercises like Tai Chi or yoga. We can even use YouTube. Search on it for a guided meditation. Find one that really resonates with you. Meditation is often successful because of the many cognitive symptoms of anxiety. When your mind is racing with an overwhelming amount of jumbled thoughts, a focusing exercise like meditation can be effective in cutting to the core of whatever is causing you to be anxious. Meditation can also promote mindful living and lessen the mind's reaction to stress. Another thing you can do is practice gratitude. Whilst the expression count your blessings might sound a bit cliched, it has been shown to be highly effective in bringing greater calm to your mind. We have the tendency to think of the negative things during moments of extreme anxiety. Instead, we need to try and think about all of the things in our lives that we have to be thankful for and look at what is right in the world. The more things that you can place on your gratitude list, the better off you will be. If you are prone to experiencing anxiety, chances are your mind is your greatest enemy. When you're faced with a situation that has the potential to provoke anxiety, it's easy to start to imagine the worst or start to self-blame to the extent that the anxiety symptoms become magnified within mere seconds. If you really want to manage your anxiety, you have to be quick in catching your own self-destructive thoughts, as well as adept in transforming these negative thoughts into more facilitative ones. So how do you deal with these unhelpful thoughts? Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a school of psychotherapy that states that if you want to manage negative thoughts, you have to consciously exert the effort to stop the negative thoughts and replace them with positive ones. To do this, you need to employ the 3C strategy: cease, call, change. So step 1, cease. The first step for managing unhelpful thoughts is to actively and consciously stop thinking the negative thoughts. The best way that you can stop focusing on the negative thoughts is to find a way to distract yourself. This may seem a bit counterintuitive. After all, wouldn't controlling the runaway thoughts be better than not thinking about them at all? The key word in this question is a runaway. Think about it this way. If an old-fashioned wooden cart's rolling down a hill towards you, it isn't likely that you'll stop it by standing in front of it. It will knock you down and keep going, and you'll be worse for wear. A more practical example would be to try not to think of a pink elephant. For those with anxiety, that elephant will start to push harder and harder into the mind until it's literally all they can think about. To stop thinking of the pink elephant, you need to try to divert your attention to something else. This distraction will work to derail the power of that overwhelming thought and give you the chance to regain control of your mental processes. Has anyone ever heard a song, that Baby Shark song? As soon as it gets in your head, you can't get rid of it. You've got to break that thought pattern to get rid of that thought in your head before it's all you can hear. So the question you're most likely to ask me is, so Kirstie, how do I distract myself? A highly recognized technique that I've used is to snap a rubber band or hair tie against your wrist when you start to think unhelpful thoughts. The sharp shock of the rubber band or hair tie hitting your skin can effectively divert your attention. Another method that you can try is to engage in something physical. Start jumping up and down, snapping your fingers, or even music. Break into a song. You might even try shifting your focus to a comical or strange image. It's like when they say, when you're public speaking, think of everyone naked. That's the type of thought pattern that you can use. Step 2 is calm. When you can break free of the frantic emotional cycle, your thoughts become your own once again. At this point, the thoughts that you want are calming ones. Step 3, change. The last step for dealing with unhelpful thoughts is to transform the negative thoughts into positive ones deliberately. This is a process known as reframing, where you actively change the perspective on a situation so that you can see another angle that you might not have thought about before. For example, if thinking that you might lose your job over a small mistake activates your anxiety, then you can try instead to think about all the possible reasons that your employer would want to keep you. If you think that you are a failure, try thinking about how you have learned from your past mistakes, particularly the times when that learning has led to success. Perhaps you worry that you can't please everyone all of the time. But name me someone that you really think that can do that. No one can. So far in the show, I have shared with you how thoughts can increase the anxiety you feel. However, feelings also play a significant role in the degree of your anxiety symptoms, and getting in touch with your feelings is as important as getting a handle on your thoughts. Feelings refer to subjective experiences or emotions like happiness, anger, sadness, joy, and fondness. There are even more subjective notions like the feeling of being trapped or feeling lost. It's difficult to define what a feeling really is, and it's perhaps for this reason that so many people tend to ignore their feelings in favour of thoughts or other more objective observations. For example, if you walked up to a group of people and asked them how they feel, they'll often give that reply with a non-feeling description like, oh, everything will be fine, or I think I'm going to be all right. There is a pronounced tendency in our society to discount and ignore feelings. Feelings are amoral, meaning they're neither right or wrong. They also come without warning. You don't choose to get upset, you simply become upset. You can't be blamed for what you feel for something that you don't rationally control. The only thing that can be judged is how you react to those feelings. It isn't what you feel, but how you handle those feelings that makes the difference. One of the most significant problems that those who suffer from anxiety face is difficulty sleeping. When you have difficulty sleeping, you tend to wake up feeling exhausted in the morning, which then makes dealing with the symptoms associated with anxiety that much harder. There are several sleep strategies that might help you get a good night's sleep every night. If you know what to avoid, as well as trying some of the techniques that I'm going to share with you now, then it should help you on the journey to getting more sleep and a better quality of sleep. The first step is working out how much sleep you actually really need. While most adults need at least 8 hours to function properly, this can vary from person to person. Try working this out by going to sleep and waking up at different times and noting how you feel and how you slept. Journal it down. The goal is to develop a routine where you go to sleep and get up at the same time every day. The environment where you sleep is also really important. Remove any TVs or electronics from your room and create a space that invites rest. Check how much light's coming into your room. Is your mattress and your pillow comfortable? Start to train your body when you know it's coming up to bedtime. Maybe take a warm bath or a shower, or do something specific that separates your daytime activities to your bedtime activities. Try reading a book for a while and listen to some relaxing music. Establishing these types of rituals will help you transition into sleep. Maybe you could try yoga or meditation as part of your bedtime routine. They can all help to relax your mind and bring it into sync with your body. Anxiety can be difficult to cope with and can ultimately take over all aspects of your life unless you do something about it. In this episode, I've shared with you how to manage your anxiety, but you won't be able to enjoy the benefits unless you put what I've shared with you into practice. Start by making the small move of incorporating more fun, excitement, joy, and enthusiasm into your life every day. Once you do this, I promise you that you will be motivated to make your life better and happier. If you need on your journey help and assistance and support, don't hesitate to reach out and engage a mindset coach. You can live your best life, but it will need a little bit of patience and awareness of your surroundings, yourself, combined with a support network and a commitment to follow through with everything you have learned. You can be well on your way to working through and overcoming anxiety. Don't wait. Start taking back your life today. We all have our dreams and aspirations in life, but many of us struggle to realize them. For decades, professional athletes, celebrities, business professionals, and people from all walks of life have used the power of creative visualization to change their lives. If you've never practiced visualization before, you may not know how to get started changing your life and realizing all your heart's desire. Fortunately, the next episode of Thoughts, Action, Success is all about visualizing your way to success. So why don't you join me and implement this technique to living your best life? I currently have some limited vacancies for new coaching clients and wanted to offer the opportunity to my show viewers and listeners first. If you are interested in finding out more about coaching and if it could work for you and how it can help you achieve what you want to achieve, then I'd love to talk to you. I offer a complimentary, no obligation 20-minute discovery session. We can have a chat, find out what your goals are and whether coaching will work for you. Pop on over to my Facebook page or my website, and all my contact details are on there, and we can arrange a time to catch up. But in the meantime, join me in the Thoughts, Action, Success Facebook group for some exclusive access to some further inspo action from this and previous episodes. I've got some other worksheets on anxiety and some other more detailed information for you to download and try out that might help you on this journey. But in the meantime, have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and we will talk again soon.